I never thought I'd be the guy sharing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 10 years now. We got married pretty young, and honestly, things weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I always believed we were in it for the long haul. That was until last weekend. We decided to go on this marriage retreat. You know, the typical couples getaway meant to fix what's broken or just reconnect. I thought it might be good for us. The place was beautiful, nestled in the woods, quiet, peaceful. It was supposed to be about trust, communication, all that cheesy but necessary stuff. Lisa was unusually bitchy about it, though. She kept complaining about the activities, whining that she didn't want to do trust exercises or share her feelings. She acted like she was doing me a favor even being there. Honestly, her attitude should have tipped me off that something was wrong right from the start. But I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just tired or stressed. We did some activities, trust falls, partner exercises. It was all very cliché, but I could see she was holding back, avoiding eye contact, and her answers during the open talk seemed off, like she wasn't being genuine. Still, I told myself it was just her mood, maybe she was tired or just bored. Then came the night, the big event, the trust-building cabin where we had to share secrets with each other. That's what they called it. I remember sitting there, feeling pretty vulnerable, pouring out some of the stuff that's been bothering me, work stress, a bit about my insecurities. Lisa, as usual, was dismissive, acting like she couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. We were supposed to share honestly, but she was acting like she didn't care. Then, out of nowhere, the counselors paired us up for a trust exercise, basically a game where we had to blindfold each other and navigate a small obstacle course. I thought, okay, maybe this will bring us closer, so we did it. I put her blindfold on first and I felt her grip tighten around my hand. That's when I noticed something weird. Her grip was too tight, her fingers trembling. She kept glancing around nervously. The counselors kept yelling encouraging words, but Lisa was distracted. Then I heard it, the faint sound of footsteps outside the cabin. I froze, my heart pounding. I thought maybe it was just other couples, but I instinctively looked out the window. That's when I saw her, Lisa, kissing someone, not just a peck. Full-on, tongue-in-mouth, desperate-looking kiss with a guy I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. I watched her press her body against him, her hands threading through his hair. It was like time slowed down. I felt my knees go weak. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife, my partner of 10 years, doing that right in front of me during what was supposed to be a trust exercise. I didn't know what to do at first. My mind was racing. I wanted to shout, to run out there and confront her right then and there, but I was frozen. The wind was knocked out of me. I kept watching, stunned, as she bit his neck and then pulled away just as the other couple walked into the cabin. They looked confused, maybe even a little embarrassed, but I knew they saw everything. I didn't say a word that night. I pretended I saw nothing. We finished the exercise in silence. When I got back to the room, I just sat there staring at the ceiling, trying to process what I just witnessed. It felt like my world had shattered in an instant. I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how Lisa, the woman I'd trusted, was out there doing something so damn betraying. And the worst part, she had lied to my face about everything, about being tired, about her feelings about us. The next morning, I decided I had to confront her. I had no idea what I'd say or how I'd say it, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed answers. I needed to know what the hell was going on with my wife. And I had a sinking feeling that this was just the beginning of a much darker story. The moment I woke up, I knew I couldn't keep hiding behind the pretense of normalcy. That night had been a nightmare replaying on a loop in my mind. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? Lisa had always been a bit of a bitch. She's one of those women who acts like she's above everyone, constantly throwing sarcastic jabs at me, dismissing my feelings, and acting like she's the queen of the universe. But I never thought she'd cheat on me. Not like this. Not during our marriage retreat of all places. I got up early before anyone else was awake and started looking for clues. I knew I had to find something, anything, that could confirm what I saw. I went through her stuff, her purse, her suitcase. I checked her phone. That's when I found it. A series of texts between her and that guy she was kissing outside the cabin. They weren't just casual flirtations. No, those texts were full of explicit shit, talking about meeting up again, about escaping this retreat, and how she was done pretending. My stomach turned. I felt this rage bubbling up, but I also felt sick. Sick that I had been so blind, so naive. How long had this been going on? Honestly, I'd always sensed she was hiding something. She'd been more distant, more dismissive, but I just chalked it up to her stress or her annoyance with me. Turns out, she was cheating right under my nose. I guess I was stupid for not seeing it sooner. When I finally confronted her, I knew I had to be cold. I waited until she was in the bathroom brushing her teeth or whatever, then I called her name. She looked annoyed, like I was interrupting her important makeup routine. I handed her the phone, showing her the texts, and watched her face twist into an expression I'd never seen before, defiance, maybe even anger. She looked at me like I was crazy, like I'd lost my mind. "Oh, come on, Mike," she sneered. "It's just some stupid flirtation. It doesn't mean anything, you're overreacting." Her voice was sharp, her tone full of that bitchy attitude she's mastered over the years. She tried to brush it off, like I was the one who was being dramatic. I was furious, partly because she was lying right to my face, partly because she thought I was stupid enough to buy her bullshit. I pushed her hard. "You're cheating on me, Lisa, while we're supposed to be fixing our marriage, during a retreat meant for trust. Are you kidding me?" She rolled her eyes, scoffing like I was just some jealous loser. "It's not like that, I swear, it's just some stupid thing, it's nothing, just a mistake. I was drunk, okay? I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't lie to me," I cut her off. "I saw the texts, I saw the pictures in your phone, you're cheating on me, Lisa. How long has this been going on? Who is he?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Oh please, just some guy I met here, it's not a big deal. You're overreacting, you always do. Honestly, you're so damn insecure, it's pathetic. I don't know what you want me to say." That's when I realized how much she was lying. She was so good at it, blaming me, dismissing me, acting like I was the one with the problem. But I could see the coldness in her eyes, the way she was trying to minimize everything. I felt my hands trembling, but I had to stay calm. I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Over the next few hours, everything changed. I decided I couldn't stay at that retreat any longer. I packed my things, feeling numb. I didn't even bother arguing anymore. I just wanted to get out before she started spinning more lies. As I was leaving, she threw one last snarky comment, something about how I was jealous and insecure and that I'd regret losing her. Yeah, right. Driving home, my mind was a mess. I couldn't believe what I'd just been through. How did I miss all the signs? How did I let it go on for so long? I felt angry, broken, betrayed. I kept revisiting that moment outside the cabin, her lips pressed against that guy's, her hands clutching him like she was trying to erase me from her mind. It all felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. And yet, I knew I had to face reality. This wasn't going to be easy. I wasn't the kind of guy who could just forgive and forget. I needed a plan. I needed some kind of revenge, something to make her regret what she'd done. But first, I had to process it all. That's where I'm at now. Still trying to figure out what comes next, still trying to piece together the broken parts of my life. After I got home, I didn't want to sit around and do nothing. That feeling of betrayal was burning inside me, but I knew I had to be smart about this. Lisa, of course, denied everything at first, acting like I was some paranoid lunatic. She threw in all her typical lies. It was just sex. It meant nothing. You're just insecure. Yeah, she's good at lying, but I wasn't buying any of it. I knew I needed proof, something concrete, or this would just be her usual way of manipulating me into thinking I was overreacting. I started by going through her phone again, more carefully this time. I looked for messages, photos, anything that could tie her to that guy. I wasn't just after revenge. I needed to understand how deep this went. Turns out she'd been sneaking around with him for a couple of weeks. She was careful, but not careful enough. I found files of pics she sent him, screenshots of their conversations, even a few racy videos she'd taken. I felt like vomiting, but I kept it together. I had to stay calm if I wanted to pull this off. One night, I left her a message on her phone. I told her I knew everything, that I'd found the proof, and I wanted to talk face to face. She responded with her typical attitude, blaming me, calling me insecure, saying I was overreacting. That's when I decided if I was going to get real answers, I had to be more direct. I wasn't going to play her game anymore. The next day, I set up a meeting with a private investigator. I didn't tell Lisa this, of course. I just wanted to find out if there was more to her affair than I already knew. I paid him to dig into her phone and her whereabouts. Within a few hours, he called me back, confirmed what I already suspected. She'd been seeing this guy, Craig, regularly. They'd been meeting at hotels, sneaking around in town. This wasn't some fling, it was a full-blown affair. I was furious, but I also felt kind of numb. Part of me was hoping she'd confess, but I knew Lisa. She'd lie her way out of anything if she thought she could get away with it. And she was trying. When I confronted her with everything, proof, details, her reaction was classic Lisa. She threw a fit, called me crazy, said I was stalking her, and insisted I was imagining things. But I had the evidence, and I wasn't going to let her brush this off. I told her I was done trying to fix us, that I was filing for divorce. That hit her hard, but she still tried to stay in control, acting like it was just a temporary setback. That's when I realized that her lies weren't going to stop. She was a master at pretending, at turning everything around. But I wasn't about to let her manipulate me anymore. I wanted to make her regret betraying everything we had. I started planning my next move. I knew I had to do something she wouldn't expect, something to make her feel stupid, to let her see that I wasn't just some sucker. I was going to make her pay for what she did. The timing wasn't perfect yet, but I was gathering my strength. I'd learned that trust, once broken, can't be fixed overnight. And now I had a long road ahead of me, one that would lead to either reclaiming my dignity or walking away for good. Either way, I knew I had to act fast. The betrayal had cut too deep, and I wasn't about to let her get away with it without consequences. In the days that followed, I kept my distance from Lisa, but I also started to put together a plan. I knew I wanted her to feel exactly how much she'd screwed up, but I wasn't interested in some petty revenge just for the sake of it. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool she could dump and forget. I needed her to understand that her actions had consequences, big ones. One thing I did was dig into her schedule. I wanted to find out if she was still sneaking around, if she had any plans to meet Craig again. I installed a GPS tracker on her car, sleazy maybe, but I didn't care. I needed to know if she was still lying, still sneaking out at night. And sure enough, within a couple of days, the tracker showed she'd been meeting him at a hotel downtown. I saw the text she sent him after. Can't wait to see you tonight. Love sneaking around with you. All that disgusting stuff. The level of her betrayal made my stomach turn. I knew I couldn't confront her yet, not until I had everything lined up. I wanted to catch her in the act, get her on camera if I could. I hired a private investigator again, but this time I told him to focus on documenting her meetings. I wanted her to have no room for denial. I also contacted a lawyer, just to know my rights, what I could do if she refused to leave or tried to twist things around. Meanwhile, Lisa was still acting like nothing was wrong. She'd go out pretending to run errands, but I knew better. She was reckless, acting like she was untouchable, like she could get away with cheating on me forever. But I wasn't going to let her. I started recording her calls and conversations, just in case I needed evidence for a divorce or to show her how much I knew. I kept quiet about it, playing the long game. One night she came home late, way later than usual. I was sitting in the living room, pretending to watch TV, but I had my phone recording the whole thing. She walked in, looking flustered and guilty but trying to act casual. I acted normal, asking how her day was, but inside I was boiling. I kept my cool, hoping she'd slip up. And she did. She started talking about how crazy I was being, how I was paranoid and jealous, and that I shouldn't jump to conclusions. That's when I decided I'd waited long enough. I pulled out the evidence, screenshots of her texts, the hotel receipts, the GPS data, and laid it all out on the table. Her face drained of color. She stammered for a second, then clammed up. Her bitchy attitude disappeared, replaced by shock and fury. She tried to deny everything at first, but I wasn't buying her act anymore. The truth was staring her right in the face. I told her I was done, that I was filing for divorce, and she could go ahead and keep lying if she wanted, but I wasn't going to pretend I didn't see what she did. I said I'd document everything, her lies, her cheating, and make sure she paid for her betrayal. Her reaction was classic. She threw a tantrum, yelled about how I was ruining her life, how she'd never loved me anyway, and how I was just some insecure jerk. Honestly, I'd never seen her so desperate. It felt good in a way, like I finally had the upper hand. That night I slept better than I had in weeks. I knew I was finally taking control of my life. I was angry, yes, but I also felt a strange sense of relief, like a heavy weight was lifting. I'd been naive for so long, trusting someone so untrustworthy, but now I was finally seeing her for what she really was. A liar, a cheat, a manipulator, and I was done being her fool. I told myself I'd get through this, no matter how bad it hurt now. Because the truth is, sometimes betrayal teaches you a lesson you'll never forget, about trust, about boundaries, and about knowing your worth. The days that followed felt like a whirlwind. I had everything I needed to move forward: proof, a clear plan, and the realization that I was better off without her lies. Still, the betrayal left a scar that wouldn't heal overnight. I could see it in her eyes. She was panicking, trying to spin her web of lies tighter, but I was done falling for it. I knew what she was capable of, and I refused to be her puppet anymore. One afternoon, I contacted a divorce attorney. I wanted to make sure I was ready for whatever she threw at me. I also started packing my things slowly so she wouldn't suspect anything. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break, but I knew I had to be prepared for what was coming. This wasn't just about ending a marriage, it was about reclaiming my dignity. She had crossed a line, and I was determined to make her regret it. Meanwhile, Lisa was losing her mind. She'd come home more often, trying to manipulate me with tears, apologies, though they felt hollow. She'd beg me to think about what we have, but I wasn't buying it. Her tears were fake, her pleas empty. I saw right through her. I knew she was just trying to save herself, but I wasn't interested anymore. I'd already made up my mind. I was done playing her game. One night she confronted me, her voice trembling but still trying to control the situation. "Mike, we can work this out," she said, fake sincerity dripping from her words. "It's just a mistake. I was stupid, but I love you. Please don't do this." I looked at her, cold and calm. "No, Lisa, you don't get to lie your way out of this. I have the evidence, and I've already told my lawyer I want a divorce. You betrayed me in the worst way, and I can't just forget that. You chose to cheat. You chose to lie. I'm done." She cursed, called me names, threw her usual tantrum, but I stayed firm. I knew I had to stick to my decision. If I didn't, I'd just be enabling her to keep hurting me. I realized that I deserved better, not someone who sneaked around and lied, but someone honest and real. I told her she could pack her stuff, that I was done wasting any more time on her bullshit. That's when I saw the truth in her eyes, panic mixed with anger and a little desperation. She knew she'd lost control, that there was no way out this time. As I packed my own things, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I wasn't happy about ending 10 years of marriage, but I knew I had to do it. I couldn't stay with someone who lied and cheated so blatantly. I thought about all the moments I'd trusted her, all the times I'd believed her lies, and now I felt like an idiot. But a part of me was also angry, angry that I'd let her get away with so much for so long. The final blow came when I handed her the divorce papers. She looked at them, then at me, and spat out some bitter comment. Something about how I'd regret losing her, how she'd find someone better, someone who appreciated her. Maybe she would. But I knew I'd be better off without her chaos, her lies, her bullshit. This was the end of our story, and honestly, I felt a strange sense of closure. Now I'm just trying to put the pieces back together. It's not easy. Trust is shattered, and I don't know if I'll ever fully get over what she did. But I learned a lot about myself, about how much I deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty. I want to tell anyone going through something like this: don't ignore the signs. Don't be blind like I was. And most importantly, never settle for someone who cheats and lies. Because, at the end of the day, your worth isn't defined by someone who can't see it. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I can't help but feel a strange mixture of relief and regret. I'm relieved because I finally took control of my life, stood up for myself, and stopped letting her betray me over and over. I realized I don't owe her anything anymore. No loyalty, no explanation, no excuses. She made her choice, and I've accepted that I deserve better. But the regret lingers too. For all the years I wasted believing in her, for trusting someone who turned out to be so dishonest. It's a hard lesson, one I wish I didn't have to learn the hard way. Looking back, I see now that Lisa was always selfish, always manipulative. She loved to throw her weight around, act like she was the victim, and lie her way out of everything. I always knew she was bitchy, but I never thought she'd go this far. Cheating during our marriage retreat of all places, that was the ultimate betrayal. I thought we were working on us, trying to rebuild what was broken. Turns out, she was just pretending, hiding her real self behind a mask of sarcasm and bravado. The thing that sticks with me most is how easy she was able to lie. She's a professional at it. When she saw I was onto her, she tried to blame me, call me insecure, act like I was the crazy one. That's her way: deflect, deny, manipulate. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I gathered all the evidence, and when I finally confronted her with everything, it was like watching her crack open. The mask she wore for years finally fell away, revealing the cold, unfaithful woman beneath. It's been a rough ride, but I'm glad I didn't just accept her bullshit anymore. I learned that no matter how much you love someone, if they cheat and lie, you have to walk away. I'm not perfect. I have my faults, my doubts. But I know I'm better off without someone who's willing to betray everything we built for a quick fuck or some stupid affair. I've come to terms with the fact that I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. Anything less isn't worth my time or my heart. Today, I'm focusing on rebuilding myself. I'm seeing a counselor, working on my confidence, and trying to heal the wounds she left behind. The pain is still there, the sting of betrayal, the feeling of being played for a fool. But I also feel stronger than I did before. I'm finally free from her lies, her manipulation, her bitchy attitude. I don't have to live in her shadow anymore. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, trust me, you're not alone. It hurts like hell, but you have to remember your worth. Don't settle for someone who cheats or lies, no matter how much you love them. Your happiness and dignity are worth so much more. Stand your ground, gather your strength, and don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes, the end of a painful chapter is just the start of a new, better one. And in the end, that's all that truly matters.